What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the latest episode of The Layup.Line. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe for more NBA videos like this one. It's been a while since my last video. I was fighting a non-COVID cold and I've been extremely busy to start the new year, but I've got a list of great video ideas all in my notes that I'm ready to work on, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified about those. I usually do semi-monthly power rankings and it's been over a month since my last one. They are a bit time consuming, but they will be back at the end of the month because I do genuinely love tracking teams' momentum through the season. That's not what today's video is about, as you can tell by the title. The NBA's trade deadline is around the corner, so a trade machine felt like a great way to get back into the stride of things. I tried my best to make each of these trades balanced and satisfy needs, or at least what I think a team's needs are, but feel free to respectfully disagree or suggest your own trade ideas in the comments. Getting right into this first trade, and it really depends on what you think about Jackson Hayes and Kira Lewis Jr. as prospects. Both are recent lottery picks for New Orleans who have flashed nice potential, but struggled with consistency as young players tend to do. Kira Lewis is also out with an injury at the moment, so maybe a guy like Trey Murphy could be swapped into this spot, but the idea is that Indiana needs to rebuild. The structure of the deal is kind of reminiscent of the deal that the Pacers did when they sent Paul George to OKC for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. Both of those players developed into all-stars with Indy, and I'm not saying that Kira and Jackson can manage that, but it would be rolling the dice on a talented young guard and big man prospect that would also come along with some salary filler in Tomas Satoransky. Tomas isn't all that significant to the deal, but he's an expiring contract and a contract that would work really well as salary filler if they wanted to package Tomas with LeVert or any other player in a different deal. The cherry on top is the future first round pick via Milwaukee, and for the Pelicans, they get a guy that would be really perfect for them. He has a decent three-point jumper as a big man, and he's elite defensively. He can play alongside a second big, as he showed in Indiana. Miles Turner just works really great at the 5 next to Zion when he does eventually return, and it won't cost a lot of draft capital to get such a great fitting player for the roster. There may be some Pelicans fans who have bought in on Jackson Hayes' potential or think it's too early to give up on Lewis Jr., but I'd say that Miles Turner is just so much of a better fit, alongside the fact that ball handling, shot creation responsibilities on this team will probably be handled by Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Devontae Graham for the foreseeable future, so where Kira Lewis Jr. fits in is kind of a question mark anyway. Moving on to this next deal though, I've got the Raptors and the Hawks swapping some bad deals. Atlanta gets Dragic as an expiring deal to hopefully improve their offense off the bench, and Chris Boucher is there in order to prop up the defense a bit. DeAndre Hunter has struggled with injuries, so another wing or even stretch 5 is not bad frontcourt depth. As for the Raptors, they weren't playing Dragic and they missed their chance to sell high on Boucher last season. He's an expiring contract and likely not returning with so many wings in his way of the rotation in Toronto. In exchange, they add Danilo Gallinari, who can hopefully provide some spacing and juice for their struggling bench unit. Defense is a concern with Gallo, especially at his age, but flanking him with OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Scotty Barnes gives me some comfort that they can manage to get Gallo playing 15 or more minutes. Gorgie is a nice throw-in case they could use some added size. Jang actually shoots the 3 well, so that is more frontcourt depth that I don't think hurts. TLC just is kind of a throw-in that's waived, traded, or buried on the bench for the rest of the year, but they get a second round pick in order to take Gallo and TLC onto the roster. Considering Gallo does have another year on his deal, although it's not fully guaranteed, he could be an option to flip next year for Toronto or possibly in the offseason. Moving on to this third trade, I think this could be a bit more divisive. I'm a fan of PJ Washington and his game as a stretch big, and some Hornets fans may not want to see him traded, but they just have so many other guys on the wing, and to me it feels like they'll come to an inevitable crossroads where they decide financially it makes more sense for them to keep Miles Bridges over PJ. They would be giving him up for Jusuf Nurkic because they need size in the front court. Nurk has been a streaky defender and sometimes really struggles in space, and he's really slow on closeouts. But in a conference with Giannis, Embiid, Vucevic, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley, you'll probably want more than Mason Plumlee at the 5 to compete in the playoffs. They also get Nurkic's bird right so they can re-sign him or work a sign-in trade in the offseason. Portland is getting the talented PJ Washington, who's flashed some defensive versatility, and let's face it, if Dame needs to miss this season with injury, you might as well sit CJ too. It would not kill them to benefit from a year in the lottery before bringing back a rested Damian Lillard, considering their options with CJ for the next season. Blazers fans will also not want to hear this, but in a world where there is a Lillard trade request, this thing is a blow up. And why not pair Anthony Simons with guys like Larry Nance, PJ Washington, and Nas Little, as well as a 2022 lottery pick? Ish Smith also comes in as a backup guard. He's a steady veteran, and he could also help in the locker room as a mentor if they do decide to go in the blow it up way. And now getting to the very last trade, I've got a 1-for-1 swap with the Mavericks and Celtics. These teams recently swapped Moses Brown for Josh Richardson in the offseason, so why not come back to the table for another guard for big trade? Schroeder was brought in as short-term guard help. He's even pinched in as a starter for over half of his games, but he hasn't been all that great, so I think it makes sense to move on from him. Willie Cauley-Stein is another player who struggles with consistency, but I think he's better frontcourt depth than Enes Freedom. Willie can rebound, and as low of a bar as it may be, I trust him guarding in space more than I do with Enes. In Dallas, Dennis gets to reunite with his 2015 German national teammate Dirk Nowitzki, who has taken a front office consulting role with the Mavericks, along with Jason Kidd, who was an assistant coach for the Lakers where Dennis played last season. The team that loves foreign players would be adding another in Dennis Schroeder, where they could give him a chance to be a secondary creator off the bench or in lineups with Luka. The good thing is that they have Jalen Brunson, who is much better than him, so you could always start Jalen and Dennis can play as many minutes as he earns off the bench. The best thing about the deal is no one walks away having given up a long-term piece. Dennis is likely out of Boston at the end of the year, and Willie Cauley-Stein isn't a crucial part of the Mavericks rotation. In turn, maybe the swap can help both teams fill important roles off the bench that they've been looking for. But that's all I have for you in this video. Let me know what you thought of my trade ideas, if you think that they make sense, or if I'm out of my mind for even suggesting it. Give me your trade ideas so we can discuss them in the comments. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can be up to date when I finally return the power ranking series at the end of the month. Thank you for watching, especially if you made it to this part. Like, comment, and again, don't forget to subscribe, but enjoy the rest of your day.